Alright guys, let's talk about Tiger Philanthropist, the most recent episode of Steven Universe. If the video sounds a little different today than it did in my most recent review, that's because I'm trying a different microphone today. If you guys think this sounds better, let me know. If you think it sounds worse, let me know. I'm working overtime to improve now that I have some equipment that allows me to actually do so. All of that said, this episode was basically exactly what I expected. The exact details were a surprise, of course, but the episode itself was exactly what I expected it to be, a worthwhile follow-up to Tiger Millionaire. The story goes that Amethyst has decided, now that she no longer has to make herself feel better, now that she is more secure in who she is, she doesn't have to wrestle anymore as the Purple Puma, and she steps down as an underground wrestler in Beach City. She just leaves, like it's not a big deal that she's doing so, and it leaves Steven a little bit rudderless, because that was the thing that the two of them did together. It was the thing that they did to have fun together, and now he doesn't know if he should continue it or not. But when Lars asserts that he wants to see Tiger Millionaire continue fighting, Steven decides to reinvent the character as a solo act and go back in the ring and continue fighting. He and Amethyst eventually have a heart-to-heart where he reveals to her why it's such a big deal to him that she quit. And so the Purple Puma makes a return to the ring for one last time so that they can both go out with a bang. And I have a very similar opinion of this episode as I did to Tiger Millionaire. I think it's good. It doesn't blow me away with how good it is. It's not a great episode, but it's a good, solid episode with a lot of fun wrestling references in it. It's oozing with those professional wrestling tropes, just like the first one was. But it focused on slightly different ones here. You have returning fighters who come out of retirement, stuff like that, rather than just the more basic tropes that you had introduced back in Millionaire, which I thought was great. It was very suitable to the idea that this was a sequel. It was a return for these two particular characters, that being Puma and Millionaire. I also want to point out before I forget that I thought it was cool that whereas Purple Puma is Amethyst's fighting form sometimes, you get to see in this episode that Millionaire has kind of become Steven's fighting form because he doesn't have a problem letting loose on people using a controlled portion of his newly acquired fighting skills while he's in the Tiger Millionaire persona, and that's something I just don't see Steven being able to do as himself. The best parts of this episode, though, weren't the wrestling stuff. They weren't the return of these characters. It was the emotional development, the character interactions, and the stuff with Lars, of all things, that I'm going to talk about in a minute. First of all, though, let's talk about Steven and Amethyst. Amethyst had just kind of projected her reason for wrestling onto Steven and assumed he would feel the same way that she did. And not only was it great to hear her say that she doesn't feel down about herself, that she doesn't feel like she has to prove herself anymore, it was so cool to see her come back at the end of the episode to help Steven be able to move on from this too, because she recognized that his reason for doing it was just as valid as hers. That's actually a big step for her. I don't know if you guys realize that, but that's a big step for Amethyst. Her being so open and receptive to the feelings of others. It shows that she has grown as a person, that she's matured as a person, and that her own emotional stability really has come as far as she's been saying it has. This whole thing where they've been interlacing Steven's and Amethyst's emotional growth together has been so great. I hope they keep doing it. But then there was the stuff with Lars. And I'm actually going to relate this back to, of all things, Rhian. Whereas Rhian felt like an attack on a portion of the fandom, or even all of the fandom if you interpret it a certain way, the stuff with Lars in this episode was a commentary on some of the toxic nature of the fandom, but it was handled so much better, and it was treated less as an attack and more as a question. It felt like they were asking fans to let them finish telling the story before they keep criticizing it. What happened exactly is that Lars didn't want Tiger Millionaire to retire with Purple Puma, so Steven invented the character of Tiger Philanthropist, a more emotionally developed version of Tiger Millionaire who had become unsatisfied with his great wealth and was trying to instead discover personal satisfaction by giving his money away to people who needed it. It's a natural progression of Tiger Millionaire's character, as it reflects onto Steven's character. But Lars didn't want that. He claimed that he didn't want exactly the same, but yet he kept asking for exactly the same. And then he finally breaks down and admits that he doesn't really know what he wants. And it was a great commentary on fans who build up headcanons about characters or about situations and are let down when those situations or those characters actually come to play in the show. And so the ending, when Puma returns and he and Tiger leave in a big, spectacular way that is satisfying to Lars, that's the crew asking us to just stand back and trust them that they know how to develop their story. And while I definitely don't think we should stop criticizing them when we feel like they're making mistakes, because I feel like criticism is the way that you help people to grow, there are some people within the fandom who don't criticize the creators of the show to help them to grow. They criticize the creators of the show because they want the creators of the show to make the show exactly the way they want it. I like that rather than attack those people, this episode just asked them to stop for a while and give the show a chance to develop on its own. It's what I felt like Rhian was trying to do, just handled so much better. I also like that Sadie had a theory that Steven was Tiger Millionaire. That was so cute. It's like, we're going to give a negative commentary on a portion of the fandom, but let's also acknowledge a portion of the fandom that we think is really cool and positive. It helped to balance it out and show that they weren't doing this maliciously. Which, again, is something that Rognaldo never managed to do. The entire freaking episode felt malicious. At the end of the day, I'm not sure we needed another Tiger Millionaire and Purple Puma episode, but I'm so glad we got it. It was a very limited perspective story where not a lot happened, but what did happen was certainly satisfying, at least to me. But I would like to ask, guys, if you have seen this episode, what did you think of it? Let's get a discussion going in the comments section down below. Either way, this has been AJ22, and I will talk to you guys later.
He's back! The legend has returned to the ring! John Cena!